Well, oh, well, oh, well, oh, well, oh, well, and well, I never. Hello, everyone. I guess you're looking here at me as being a Ghostbuster. And that is really where I come in. It's the easiest thing to call me these days. But the thing is, when you're sort of communicating with the other world on a regular basis, what you recognize is that there are so many different levels within that dimension or levels of dimension. And this is why I sort of came up with this idea of having the hotel. Having an hotel, what you've got is pretty much like those big American hotels that go up and up and up and up. You've got 24 floors, 36 floors. Doesn't matter how many floors you've got, but these are to do with the levels of consciousness. These are to do with the particular levels in which when somebody dies, they can end up in one of these particular levels. And it's all to do with the vibrational frequency of who we are when we die. So what Natalia was talking about in the preparation of death, if we are fortunate that we can prepare ourselves, a bit like Tina Turner did, who took 2 years out to prepare herself to go over the other side, not many of us get the good fortune to do that. Swinging around, we've got the issues in the world at the minute in Gaza. We have the issues in Ukraine. And of course, a lot of people are dying there and they have no choice. It's just death comes to meet them. It takes them out of the body, and whatever they are doing in that particular moment, whatever they are facing at that particular moment, they are going to go into that level of consciousness. So when you die, you are passing into a level of consciousness. And that level of consciousness may be terror, it may be fear, it may be delusion, it may be that you have lost all sense and purpose of who you are. But what you are also connecting with at that particular point, not only the terrors of the death itself, but you are having the memory recall, which is coming up inside you. What about mum? What about, where is my mother? You are talking about your human family. You are talking about the connection with the mother, with the children. You are talking about the loss. You are talking about these ingredients in your life which are holding on to you. It is what, if we use the Buddhist term, it's attachment. And so what you are holding on to when you reach that particular moment of crossing over, what are you attached to? So irrespective of whether you are going to die in a moment of terror and trauma or whether you are peacefully going to die in your bed, the attachment of what you are holding on to is what's important, because that will give you an opportunity to either move on and liberate yourself because you are holding on to very little, or it will hold you back. And if it holds you back, I'm the most important person in the world, that sort of attitude. I cannot let go of my possessions. I cannot let go of my bank balance. I cannot let go of my family. These are attachments. In my case, it's my record collection, my big vinyl collection. Can I set myself free, or am I going to be attached to that? Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. But all I'm doing is raising the question for you to consider. What are you really holding on to? Look around your house as an example. What are you actually holding on to in your house? That brick and mortar, which when you pop your clogs, none of it is going to be yours. Not one brick. Not one piece of cement. So imagine that. You are dying, let's say, in that house. which you have lived for goodness knows how long, doesn't matter. But how much are you attached to that place? And if you live at a place that you do not like at all, then it's cool, because you want to get out of there anyway. But the fact is, the majority of buildings, and of course, we're just talking about buildings here. We're not talking about plots of land where there is nothing built upon. We're talking about where something is built upon that has created a vibrational frequency. It has a vibrational frequency that comes from the earth. It has a vibrational frequency that comes from every piece of material that is in the property. If it's stone, we have an old farmhouse where we live. So you have the original building is constructed of stone. It has bits added onto it, which are brick, but everything has a vibrational frequency. Everything is coming out of the earth. There is nothing in your property, the stone, the brick, the mortar, the wood, and all the ingredients, they have come out of the earth. So they all have a frequency, every single thing. And you are in the frequency, and you are on this plot of land, which also has a vibrational frequency in its own right. So it's learning to understand where you live and how that is feeding you, how it is supporting you, or whether it is challenging you, whether it's holding you back, holding you down. Because you in your human condition, you can only work it out now. Because when you are not in this human condition, you will not be able to work it out. So preparing yourself to let go of all these attachments, and I'm using the house in simplicity. You may be connected to your family. You may be connected to some heartbreak that goes back 20 years that you never got your own way. Relationships where you never got your own way. Business situations where you didn't get the promotion, somebody else did. Where you have somebody who ripped you off. These entanglements that come into life where you feel that you are hard done by. All these become issues, and they become attachments or non-attachment. So if you are angry about one thing in particular, why are you angry? Look into the anger. Look into why you have this anger. And then you have to be working towards a forgiveness of this anger. The forgiveness towards your person, to forgive yourself. To liberate yourself from the attachment of having this connection with this person. Now, you may wish to be superior in your attitude and look at it as saying, well, it's karma. And if you say it's karma, you can say, oh, I deny all responsibility because it was going to happen anyway. Yes, it may have been going to happen anyway, but it is not solved. If it is not solved, then you will get repeat performance. What goes around comes around. Yes. So all these things that you are holding on to, look into them, because we are now talking about when somebody dies in that property and they have an attachment, they are dying and they are holding on to that attachment. The amount of properties that I've been into that people are holding on because they have no idea that they are dead. Now that is primarily the big question. Do you know that you are dead? And the majority of people that are earthbound, they do not know that they are dead. So this is the first level of question. When you are speaking to someone who is over the other side, do you know that you are dead? And the amount of times I will get the answer come back to me, no, I am not dead. And I will have to use methods and techniques and skills to prove to them that they have in fact passed away and they do not have a physical body. And now these people are on the lower level of vibration because they are stuck into the earth. And when I say they are stuck into the earth, what I'm actually saying to you is that they are not capable of getting out of the magnetic pull. As you all know, the earth is magnetic. Your body, because it is heavy and physical, the earth holds it safe. But when you do not have this physical body, you are passing out of the physical body and you are passing into a spirit. That is who you are. Now, what weight are you carrying in your spirit? If you are holding on to all these attachments, then your spirit is holding on to the weight of the attachments. If you are not holding on to attachment, as an example, and you believe that you have the right to be in the light, then you will be making a plan to become non-attached, to work towards that light. And whether you believe in Jesus Christ, whether you believe in Muhammad, or whether you believe in Buddha or anything else, the demonstration with all religion and teaching, it has a light side and it has a dark side. The dark side is to do with the underworld, is what I call the basement. So if you are a particularly nasty person and you pass out of your body, there is a good chance that you will go into the basement. Now, the basement, if I am talking about the house and the people, the ghosts in the house, you will not go into a normal house and see the ghosts that are in the underworld. You will not. Unless you are vibrationally prepared, you will not engage with these people. But the next level up is a person who does not realize that they have done anything wrong. They have lived a normal life. They held down a job. They brought up their family. They've done everything that they believe to be correct. But they have no spiritual belief. They are in complete denial of religion. It's all about me. I'm a human being. I've done my best. And these are examples. I can reflect back into my childhood, and I can remember my grandfather saying to me, I have done my best. And he had. But he had done his best, but he had engaged with a certain frequency of light. My grandfather, I did not know at the time. He died when I was 13, but I've engaged with him since many times as a spirit. And what I understand is that he carried with him a light. And when I was very small, I remember a conversation that was taking place between my grandmother and my mother. And they said that my grandfather had seen Jesus Christ walk through the room of this house in Queen's Road. Now, if he saw Jesus Christ, the projection of this almighty being into his consciousness would suggest that he was somehow connected with the light. So when you have experiences and when you have engagement with the light, you have a connection with the light. Now you are in the connection with the light, pulling yourself completely out of the basement. That's a different story entirely. but you are looking into where you can gravitate up through the various levels of the hotel. Which floor are you going to gravitate to? And will you be able to go into that floor, recognizing that you are being pulled higher and higher and higher by the light, or you are being dragged down by the magnetism of the earth, which means karma, repeat performance, reincarnation, unfinished business. And everyone who gets stuck in the earth, including all of you and me, is because we have not finished the business that we had down here. And it's a personal thing to you and to me, how we deal with that, how we can resurrect ourselves out of engaging with these variety of attachments. Sometimes it's egocentricity, sometimes it's pure selfishness, bloody-mindedness. But recognizing that we are not really that important can be helpful. We are not important in our engagement in this world unless we can look to understand that we are connected to an immortal spirit that is who we are, the essence on the inside. This is what you have been instructed this morning, earlier, to awaken yourself. And when I described to you my grandfather, I could also describe to you my grandmother, his wife. And when I look back into my grandmother, all I see with her is that she, in her characteristics, was exceedingly dark. Everything about her, in the way that she used the magic and the tricks, how she could manipulate people, how she could remove warts off people and curse people, everything about this characteristic engages with the dark, so it is the supreme opposite to my grandfather. But what I understand when I look at my grandmother as a person, she is very connected to the dark mother. Now, the dark mother is the engagement of the underworld and understanding that you are using these powers and skills and you are participating, practicing them. But how would she get out of that? The only way she is going to get out of that is to understand that her partner was the key. And it's through his light that he can draw her and allow her consciousness to be awakened, that she inside herself also has a light. And it is this light that I am asking you to connect with at all times, and that will eventually take you to the Penthouse suite.
Why don't you ask yourself that question to start with? How do you know that you've let go enough to move on without immediately getting stuck, and then without having to be drawn back, as they say in Tibetan Buddhism, straight back into an incarnation? How do you know? Now, I personally, because I deal with this every single day with people, so I always see that they always come into this incarnation with a karma. I call it karmic attachment issues consciousness. You have this lifetime, and then you're all at different ages in this group, and those are on record as well. Some people have just had children, some people are really old, some people are really young, some people are in the in-betweeners. So you're all at different stages, so which also then will answer that question, because you're still working through your karma. So by the time you reach that point where you can feel death, and that's the other thing, those of you who are aware, you do know that you're going to die. You know, whether you're like poor Liz's daughter, who was an angel, I have to say, she knew that she was going to die young. She always used to say that to her mum. So you all are all conscious, whether you have a baby that's going to die, or whether you know you're going to die young, or you're going to die really old and be very grumpy about it, which is it's probably us too, because I have to say I can't remember the last time I died old. It's like I can't remember the last time being this age. I'm sure I'm only 22.
I can't remember the last time I wasn't shot dead.
Honestly, it's so weird. And you know these things. That's why I'm saying to you, you do know when you've done enough. You do know when you're going to die. I don't know. I've never met anyone who said, oh, that was a bit of a shocker, even if you're going to be murdered. And I've met a few people. So I always laugh. I've met 5 people who've been murdered. Honestly, who does that? Only Natalia. Wednesday, I think. The darkness. So there is always this consciousness that you are about to disappear, whether you take your own life to do it, because something in your soul says, I have to leave. I cannot stay here any longer. Whether you know you're going to be murdered or have an accident or die young, there's something in your soul that knows that. Now, for the normal people, and the normal people know this too, so for the rest of the time, we spend most of the time avoiding. That's why I laughed about all the cards that you chose. Avoiding this completely and utterly, that you are going to die. And you may not die in the way that you would like I said, like my grandmother or King Henry VIII been served all these things and rubbed and loved, and then I put my clogs with no pain. So what you're going to do next, because when you understand yourself,
there's one bit I'd like to
say. That's fine. When you understand yourself, you will then understand when you meet people how you can help them. The less you understand about yourself, the less you are capable of having any compassion, because it's all about you all the time. My pain, my emotions, my control, my issues, blah, blah, moaning, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Terry's going to say something, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to set you up to do with your partners.
The important thing, according to most religions, spiritual teachings, is that you particularly focus on one character. So if you are believing on Jesus Christ, if you're believing the Buddha, Muhammad, then what you do is you meditate on that particular person. So that, for instance, I've got a big focus point of the Buddha, all gold. So I can focus on that particular feature, find something that you are meditating on. And what you are doing, you are meditating on raising your own consciousness. So even though you are affected by karma, as Natalia has said, you can raise yourself above the level of vibrational pull, so that you have an overview of what your karmas are, and you can then perhaps conclusively, next time around, sort everything out in one. But if you do not raise your consciousness to have the overview, you are not going to be in the higher levels of the hotel room to be able to look down and see the whole picture. And that is what we need, is a clarity on the whole picture, so that we can nip in the bud the things that are the unfinished business that give us the freedom to go into full-time liberation, enlightenment.